Hello everyone. So in this video, let us talk about one good practice, one best practice in Jira, which not many people do. Now, when you have a workflow in Jira, you definitely have the option to add a validator, right? So let us say, whenever you resolve an issue, you want, or basically any transition in your Jira workflow, you have a requirement where you want certain fields to be mandatory, right? Now, this is of course something that you can do easily with the help of a validator, and this is something that can be done. But the problem is that if you have too many Jira admins who don't really have a lot of experience with, of course, managing Jira and solving problems with Jira, they definitely miss this. Now, the thing is that if you have a transition, of course, when you have a transition in Jira, like when you go from state A to state B, let us say you go from in progress to resolve state, you can do something in between, right? So you have validators, you have conditions, you have post functions as well. Like post function is of course something that you want to do after the transition has happened. Now, when you have conditions will stop you from making a transition. So if you don't really have that permission, or if that condition is not true, you won't be able to see the transition at all. So you won't be able to move the issue from in progress to resolve, because it won't show you on the screen or basically on your UI. But validators will check for something in between, and usually you want to use a validator when you want to ensure that a field is filled in, right, or something is filled in that you want to check in between. Now, when you add a validator in your workflow, and when you do this transition, or when you try to do this transition, and if the field is not really filled in, let us say you're moving the issue from, let us say there is a bug, right, and in the bug workflow, there is a requirement that whenever a bug is resolved, you need to fix in a fixed version, right? It's a very valid thing that you may want to do. Maybe you also want to have some root cause analysis that you want to fill in, right, for some reason. Now, when you have these fields and mandatory fields, and when you try to resolve your bug, you will get a message, and especially on data center, the message is actually weird, because it will tell you that, okay, these fields are not filled in, but you then have to go to the issue edit screen, and then you have to find the field. That particular field might be in a separate tab, and it can be a bit cumbersome. So basically, for the end users, it is not very nice, and you should always ensure that whenever there is a transition, workflow transition with a validator, or I should say whenever there is a validator where you are trying to check for some mandatory fields, make sure there is a transition screen where you have those fields on that particular transition screen. So in a way, you are giving your users one easy way to populate those fields while they are transitioning, right? And of course, when you have those fields, it will of course show up on the form itself, like the transition screen. So it is, for the end user, it is a good design, right? I mean, of course, it's not really super convenient to fill in plenty of fields, but I know in Jira you have to sometimes make a field required field, because for various reasons. I think in this case, if you're trying to resolve a bug, I think it makes sense to have fixed version as a mandatory field or a RCA field. So make sure those fields are there on the screen. And this problem happens especially in those cases where you give Jira admin rights to a project manager or a project lead, and those leads are of course because they have, let us say they have some technical background, or if they are quite tech savvy, or maybe they like doing things in Jira, they will of course do some online research, and they will realize, oh, I can add a validator. And of course you need to understand what validator is, and they can definitely add a validator. But Jira of course is not like any other tool or any web-based application where you can of course make a field required and it will nicely show up somewhere. Because in this case, when you have these field required validator, it won't really tell the user, upfront. It won't really help them or take them to a particular field and give them the opportunity to fill it up straight away. And with the help of a transition screen, I think it is much more convenient, right? So do that. And this is, of course, something that I wanted to talk about. I think, and by the way, for some weird reason, I've seen this many times. And that is why I'm talking about it, because if something happens again and again and across different instances for different companies, because imagine you have to, let us say you have rights, you have admin rights, right? Or maybe if you're a new Jira admin and you have learned about workflows, you have learned about wonderful things that can be done, you have your own very great workflow, like with different states, and you're satisfied. Now, of course, you will modify it. You will add some conditions. You will learn about how permissions work. Then, of course, you will add a validator. But when you add a validator, it's not very obvious, right? For the users, I mean, when I say users, I'm talking about for the admins, for inexperienced admins or so-called project managers with Jira admin rights. So it is not very obvious for them. And I think this is a problem because when you keep doing it, it messes up. I mean, to be honest, nothing will break. If you have a Jira instance with hundreds of workflows and you have given Jira admin rights to a lot of people, then they will, of course, do these things. And it is not really going to break anything, but it's more about your user experience. And people don't really realize that Jira is a crucial tool. And in 2024, I'm surprised that people don't really take, and when I say people, I'm talking about organizations, they don't really take Jira seriously. They think it's a tool that they can install and yeah, all good, we are now set. But you have to take care of Jira, you have to maintain it, you have to basically do these things on a regular basis. And it may seem like a small thing, like not adding a transition screen for the mandatory fields, but imagine hundreds or thousands of developers, users are going to work on your issues on a day-to-day basis, right? And by the way, personally, I'm a bit not I'm trying to find the right word. I always seek optimization, right? Because that is what I am trained to do. I'm an engineer, and engineers are supposed to optimize things and optimize it further and further. And there should not be any limit on how much you can optimize. And this is, of course, applicable to all aspects of my life, or I should say, majority of things that I do with, let us say, computers, right? I'm giving you a very bad example. And imagine you are a developer, right? And usually people who, I mean, I'm sure you would agree that majority of people who use Jira, they are developers, right? Or they are doing some kind of a technical work. So these people are, I think, based on my experience, I think they are always annoyed with Jira because they have to fill things in, they have to fill up mandatory fields. And if you make it, imagine a developer who has to file a bug and they have to fill in 10 mandatory fields. And then on top of that, when they're resolving it, you're making it even more difficult for them to resolve a bug. So it is demotivating. It is annoying. You are in a way slowly, like it may not seem like a lot, but slowly and over the period of time, you are actually adding to their frustration and they will not be happy and eventually they will leave you. So I know I'm exaggerating, but it is not exaggeration. If you can make things simple, make it simple, right? And if you can help them do things easily with Jira, do that. And to solve this problem, what I always say in my videos, talk to your stakeholders, talk to your users, and get regular feedback from them. Even if you are not able to solve anything, by just listening to their problems, I think you're doing a lot for them, because they will think that, okay, there is someone who is at least listening to our frustrations in Jira, because we know that working with Jira is a pain, but we have a Jira team and they are helping us, or at least they are trying to help us. Because to be honest, when you work with Jira, you can't really do magical things, right? You have to basically do things within the functionality of Jira. You have to do things that Jira offers you, and try to optimize it as much as you can, like the example that I just gave you. I know this video is a bit long, but if you do these things on a regular basis, it will help you as a Jira admin, as a Jira consultant. It will help your stakeholders, it will also help your users, and overall we are spreading happiness, because you don't really want people to click on a button, or you don't really want to frustrate them when they're trying to resolve a bug, right? All right, that is it. That is all I wanted to talk about in this video. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and you learned something new today. Thank you very much. Bye bye.